So, if you just woke up today, grabbed your phone, and checked your sports notifications, you probably saw the final score.
Right.
Atletico Madrid 4, Club Brugge 1. And, you probably thought, classic Champions League night at the Metropolitano.
Oh, absolutely. You look at that and think, Simeone's boys are just cruising.
Yeah, like it was easy work. A total walk in the park.
Which is, I mean, that's the danger of box score scouting, right? Because that scoreline is a complete fabrication of what actually happened on that pitch.
It's a total liar. A 4-1 win sounds like a relaxed evening. But if you were actually watching the broadcast or if you were one of the 60,000 people in the stands last night, the reality was...
It was more like a panic attack.
Exactly. A panic attack followed by a rave.
It really was a story of two completely different sports being played in the exact same 90 minutes. I mean, you had 45 minutes of absolute suffering, borderline disaster, followed by 45 minutes of just lethal clinical execution.
And that is exactly what we are digging into today for this deep dive. We are not just doing a standard match report. We really want to understand how a team flips that switch.
Because it's fascinating.
It is. So to set the stage, it's Tuesday, February 24th, 2026. This is the second leg of the Champions League round of 32 playoff, and we're pulling from minute-by-minute coverage, post-match interviews with Diego Simeone, Alexander Sorloth, and Jan Oblak.
Right, and we're also looking at the excellent analysis from marca journalists like Lorenzo Lara and Alberto R. Barbero.
Right, and everything was on the line here, because the first leg over in Belgium ended in a 3-3 draw.
That context is vital. Coming into Madrid, there was absolutely no safety net, no aggregate lead to sit on. It was essentially a one-off final.
And physically, let's be honest, Atletico looked kind of dead on their feet right at kickoff.
They looked incredibly heavy. You have to remember the context of the calendar. They played a grueling La Liga match just 69 hours before this whistle blew.
69 hours is nothing.
It's a brutal turnaround, and you could see it immediately. They were slow to the second ball. They were slow to close down the passing lanes.
So let's unpack that first half. The Spanish press is calling it the suffering, el sufrimiento.
It fits perfectly, because for the first half, Club Brugge or Brugge didn't just come to sit back and defend, they came to play football. I was looking at the halftime stats, and it was actually shocking.
The possession numbers, right?
Yeah. The visitors had 55% possession at the Metropolitano.
Which is so rare for a visiting team in a stadium that hostile.
It really is. But it wasn't just, sterile possession where they pass it around the back line harmlessly. They were actively hurting Atletico. Specifically, they targeted the wings. They have these two dangerous wingers, Carlos Forbes on the right and Solis on the left.
Forbes was a nightmare. I swear, every time he got the ball, you could hear this collective intake of breath from the crowd.
He was isolating the fullbacks constantly. Because Atletico's legs were so heavy, the midfield just wasn't sliding over fast enough to provide cover. So you had Forbes one-on-one, creating chaos, getting to the byline.
It felt like Atletico was just pinned against the ropes, covering up and praying for the bell to ring.
Exactly. And the tactical issue, which we will definitely get to the fix for later, but what was going wrong structurally in that first half?
Right. Why couldn't they even get out of their own half?
The main issue was body orientation. It sounds super technical, but it's actually a quite simple concept. When Atletico's midfielders or forwards received the ball, they were receiving it with their backs to the opponent's goal.
So they are facing Jan Oblak.
Facing their own keeper. And when you receive the ball facing your own goal, all you can really do is shield it or pass it backward. You can't turn and drive forward. You can't see the field in front of you.
So Briggs would press them. Atletico would pass it back to a center back, and they'd just get pinned in again.
It was a vicious cycle of pressure.
And yet, because football is just the weirdest sport on earth, Atletico actually scores first. Minute 23, Alexander Sorloth.
This goal, I absolutely love this goal because it is so unmodern.
What do you mean?
Well, we are so obsessed with tiki-taka and playing out from the back right now, but this was Route 1, old-school football.
It was essentially a punt.
It was a highly calculated launch. Jan Oblak has the ball. He looks up and sees Sorloth, who is just a mountain of a man isolated against the Brugge defender, Michel. Oblak doesn't even hesitate. He smashes a 60-yard pass right onto Sorloth.
And Sorloth just bullies him off the ball.
He does. He uses his upper body strength to just displace Michel entirely. He lets the ball bounce once and then finishes low under Mignolet.
Now, here is the detail from the source material that really caught my eye.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, we look at a play like that and chalk it up to desperation or maybe just luck. But Sorloth said something really interesting in the post-match interview.
He said it was rehearsed.
Which is wild for a 60-yard-long ball.
It is wild. But he revealed that he and Oblak had a very specific conversation before the match. Sorloth had apparently missed a similar opportunity in their previous game, and they sat down and planned it out.
Oh.
Sorloth told him, if I make this run and their press is high, you hit it exactly here.
Yeah.
So what looked like a panic clearance to everyone watching was actually a strategic bypass of the entire Brugge midfield.
That is elite-level preparation.
Yeah.
But the joy didn't last very long at all.
No, it didn't. 13 minutes later, the dread crept right back into the stadium. Brugge wins a corner kick.
And we know Atletico has been a little shaky on set pieces lately. It's been a known issue.
The delivery goes to the near post, which is always the most dangerous spot. A flick on there is almost indefensible, and unfortunately it's Johnny Cardoso who loses the duel.
Joel Ordonez, the Brugge defender, just beats him to the spot.
A powerful header, 1-1.
And suddenly, the aggregate score is tied again. 1-1 on the night, 4-4 overall. And the atmosphere in the stadium immediately shifts from relief back to this thick anxiety.
You could feel it through the screen, and right before halftime, the season almost ended.
This is the moment. This is the sliding doors moment of the entire tie. If this goes differently, we are doing a very sad deep dive today.
Absolutely. Minute 38, Brugge is absolutely flying. They have all the momentum. Vetlesen, their midfielder, makes a late run into the box. The cross is perfect. He connects with a diving header.
And looking at the replay, 9 times out of 10, that is a guaranteed goal. It is heading straight for the bottom corner.
It's a goal. The crowd is totally silent. But Jan Oblak, I don't know how he does this. It is pure reflex. He's actually moving one way, realizes the flight of the ball, and just throws a hand out in the opposite direction.
The journalists were comparing it to that famous triple save against Leverkusen a few years back, or the one against Girona.
The Girona comparison is the one everyone is making today. It was that exact level of impossibility, and Oblak was incredibly humble about it afterward. He just said, I saved it with reflexes. It keeps the team alive.
Keeps the team alive is the understatement of the year. If that goes in, it's 1-2. Brugge leads on aggregate right before halftime. The psychological blow would have been massive.
I really don't think they come back from that. Not with the heavy legs they had. That save was just as valuable as Sorloth's hat-trick later on.
So halftime hits, 1-1. The team goes into the locker room, probably getting an earful from the Metropolitano faithful. Some whistles were definitely audible on the broadcast. And then a completely different team comes out for the second half.
This is where we have to give immense credit to Diego Simeone. It's easy to just say, oh, they played harder in the second half, but that's not what happened. There was a very specific tactical shift.
Simeone was surprisingly open about this in the presser. He used a phrase, lift the step.
Right. Levantar el paso.
Decode that for us. What does lifting the step actually mean in terms of grass and boots?
It means engaging the opponent much higher up the pitch. In the first half, because they were tired or nervous, Atletico was dropping deep. They were letting Brugge have the ball uncontested until they got near the penalty box.
Which just invites constant pressure.
It does. Lifting the step means the defensive line pushes up to the halfway line, the midfielders step up, you compress the space Brugge has to play in. You basically say, okay, if you want to beat us, you have to beat us in behind with a perfect pass, but we aren't going to let you play comfortably in front of us anymore.
That seems incredibly risky though, right? With Forbes and Zoli's having that kind of speed on the wings.
It's a huge risk. If you push up and don't win the ball, they are through on goal. But Simeone realized that dying slowly by sitting deep was actually worse than the risk of pressing high. So he rolled the dice.
And it paid off immediately. We're talking 2 minutes into the second half, minute 47.
And look who the hero is. Johnny Cardoso.
The ultimate redemption arc. The guy who lost the header on the Brugge goal.
The very same. And honestly, Cardoso has had a rough time since coming to Madrid. Injuries, struggling to adapt to the speed of La Liga. He really needed a moment like this.
So walk us through how that goal happens.
It comes directly from that lifted step we just talked about. Atletico is pressing much higher. The ball breaks loose right at the edge of the box. Because the team is higher, Cardoso is actually there to challenge for it. In the first half, he would have been 20 yards further back.
Right place, right time, thanks to the tactical shift.
Exactly. He controls the rebound with his chest, which takes serious composure in a chaotic moment like that and just rifles a low right-footed shot into the net.
His first goal is the Rojiblanco.
You could see the raw emotion. He called it a dream come true. But listen to what Simeone said about it. He praised the goal, sure, but he specifically praised Cardoso for stabilizing the midfield and recovering balls.
That's the manager's eye right there.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care just about the shiny finish. He cares that Cardoso was winning the physical battles that allowed the entire team to stay high up the pitch.
That goal completely validated the halftime adjustment. Suddenly, Atletico wasn't reacting anymore. They were dictating the terms of the game.
And once they started dictating, the floodgates opened. Which brings us to the MVP of the night. The man the Spanish press is calling El Fusil, the rifle.
Alexander Sorloth.
A hat-trick in a Champions League knockout game. That is a career-defining night. We talked about his first goal, the physical route one play, but the third goal, the one in the 76th minute, that was pure poetry.
If the first goal was brute force, the third goal was sheer finesse. It is the perfect example of how dangerous this team can be in transition when they find their rhythm.
I want to break this down pass by pass because the chemistry here was unbelievable.
It starts with Marcos Llorente. Again, look at the verticality. He doesn't pass sideways to retain possession. He hits a long ball up to Sorloth. Sorloth holds it up brilliantly. Classic target man play.
And then he finds his substitute, Ademola Lookman.
Right. Lookman plays a lightning-fast wall pass, a quick 1-2 with Antoine Griezmann. Griezmann touches it back instantly into Lookman's path without breaking stride. Lookman drives into the box, crosses it, and Sorloth is waiting right there to tap it in.
That sequence, Llorente to Sorloth, to Lookman, to Griezmann, back to Lookman, cross to Sorloth. It was so incredibly fast. Brugge's defenders were just spinning in circles.
It was completely unplayable. That is the new Atletico that Simeone keeps hinting at. When they click, they play at a speed that is very hard for any defense in Europe to handle. That goal broke Brugge's spirit completely.
We have to mention Lookman's role there, too. There was some noise before the game because he didn't start. He had 3 goals and an assist in his last 5 games, so leaving him on the bench seemed pretty controversial.
It definitely raised eyebrows among the fans. But Simeone addressed this perfectly in the press conference. He was asked about the starters versus substitutes debate, and he basically said that entire concept is dead.
What does he mean by that?
He means with the modern football calendar, playing high-intensity matches every 3 days, nobody plays 90 minutes every single game.
Yeah.
It is not about who starts anymore. It's about who impacts the game.
That makes total sense.
Bringing on a dynamic dribbler like Lookman against a defense that has been chasing shadows for 70 minutes, that's not a demotion for Lookman. It is a tactical weapon.
And it clearly worked. He changed the pace of the game entirely. And then, just to cap it off, Sorloth gets his third one in the 87th minute.
A great cross from Ruggeri on the left side, a precise pass, and Sorloth just guides it in. So you get a physical goal, a beautiful team goal, and a poacher's goal.
Yeah.
A perfect hat trick.
Simeone had a quote about Sorloth that I think is really important. He said, he has different things. When you have a strong player who wins the second ball, it changes everything.
That is the key. Atletico hasn't really had a striker quite like this since maybe Diego Costa in his absolute prime, someone who is just a constant physical nuisance, someone you can launch a ball at when you're in trouble and he will just make it stick.
Koki said it best in the mix zone. He said, strikers run in streaks, and he is in a spectacular one.
He really is. And when a striker is in this kind of form, the whole team breathes easier. You know, if you can just keep a clean sheet, chances are Sorloth will find one eventually.
So the final whistle blows, 4-1. The team does a victory lap around the stadium. Simeone even admits he got emotional seeing the players celebrate and seeing all that work pay off.
Mm-hmm.
The relief must have been immense.
It's massive. And you mentioned the fun detail about Griezmann earlier.
The hair. You have to talk about the hair.
She blue hair.
Short hair, dyed bright blue. Is that just a fashion statement, or is there a deeper meaning there?
Well, the joke going around the press room is that he already knew about the blue route.
Ah, the blue route. Let's transition to the consequences of this win, because this puts them in the round of 16, the top 16 of Europe.
For the 11th time in 13 seasons under Simeone. I know we take it for granted sometimes, but that level of consistency in Europe is absurd.
Enrique Cerezo, the president, immediately highlighted the economic necessity of it.
He has to. Missing the round of 16 is a financial black hole for a club like Atleti. Making it guarantees tens of millions in revenue. That pays the wages. That keeps the lights on. It is a strict business necessity.
But let's talk about this blue route. The draw is happening this Friday at 12:00 hour. But because of how the bracket system works, We already have a very specific forecast of what's coming.
We do. And if you are an Atleti fan listening to this, you might want to brace yourself.
Who are we looking at?
It is almost certainly going to be an English team. Liverpool or Tottenham.
Oof.
Yeah.
Those are some intense options.
They are the absolute kings of intensity. And this is the worry. We saw Atletico struggle with Brugge's pressure in the first half. Brugge is a good team, but Liverpool, Tottenham, their press is on another planet entirely.
If Atletico plays that first 45 minutes against Liverpool...
They're down 3-0 at halftime. Game over, tie over.
Oblak was confident, though, saying, we can beat any rival. But Simeone was pumping the brakes, right?
He was. He said, we don't think about Liverpool or Tottenham yet. He knows they have to improve. You simply cannot rely on a halftime tactical miracle every game. You can't rely on Oblak making a wonder save every game.
But, and here is the provocative thought I want to leave you with. The source material highlights a massive detail about this blue route.
The silver lining.
The huge silver lining. So falling into this specific side of the bracket, Atletico avoids one very specific team.
Real Madrid.
The boogeyman.
The absolute kryptonite for this club.
They cannot face Real Madrid until a hypothetical final.
That changes the psychology completely.
Right.
Atletico has lost 2 Champions League finals to their neighbors. They've been knocked out by them countless times. Knowing that the White Storm isn't waiting in the quarterfinals allows them to focus entirely on the task at hand.
It really opens the path.
Yeah.
You have to beat Liverpool or Spurs, sure, but you don't have to beat the team that lives in your nightmares.
Exactly. Combine that psychological relief with a striker in Sorloth who is scoring hat-tricks, a goalkeeper in Oblak who is saving the unsavable, and a team that just proved they can adapt tactically when they are suffering.
It is a dangerous mix.
It is. In tournament football, you don't need to be the best team every single minute. You need to survive the bad moments and capitalize on the good ones. Atletico did exactly that last night.
So is this the year the suffering finally pays off with the ultimate prize?
Look, if Jan Oblak keeps making saves like that one in the 38th minute, anything is possible.
We will be watching the draw on Friday closely. We'll see if Griezmann keeps the blue hair for Liverpool.
I really hope so. It seems to be working.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Think about that blue route as we head toward Friday. Was Simeone's halftime switch the masterstroke, or was it just Sorloth being a beast?
Or both.
Probably both. We'll catch you next time.